Good morning, folks, and welcome back to Wishwell Farms. My name is Jason. Thank you so much for joining me today. So if you've watched any of my latest videos, you know that we've had several bumper crops of green beans, and I harvest them with our Oxbo BH 100 green bean harvester. So I thought a lot of them were going to go to waste, but fortunately I found a home for some. I got a hold of the regional food bank director. Actually, she might be the statewide food bank director, and she found a home in Lima, Ohio at the Midwest Ohio Food Bank. I think that's what that one's called. It's just 30 miles down the road from me. So we are going to harvest the rest of that patch that I was in actually just yesterday or day before, and we're going to direct pack them right into our 1 bushel wooden bean crates. Stack them on a pallet, throw them in my box truck, and drive them up the Lima and dropping them off. We are going to direct pack them into our 1 bushel wooden bean crates onto 3 skids. We got them on a we're going to be stacking them on a flatbed wagon for now, and then I'm going to put them in my box truck and run them directly up the Lima after lunch later on this afternoon. All right, we're just about ready to roll here. Here's the bean crates that we're filling. We got 90 of them here. That's what I told the food bank we would have, and that's the invoice that I printed out to take with me when I deliver these. So if you haven't seen the BH 100, this is what it looks like under the shield. These picking fingers spin at a high RPMs and knock off the beans, and they get carried up the conveyor belt and dropped into either tubs or bean crates or bags, however you want to pick them. All right, we just finished our first round. Those are all full. I'm thinking we got about 20. Those are all full right there. You can see how it becomes a mess because they're coming out so fast. We're probably getting at least 3 bushels a minute, maybe 4. Now we're gonna offload them onto this pallet, 7 to a layer. $22 crates on 1 round. We got 3 more rounds to go. That should get us about 88 crates. And if we're a couple crates shy, we'll go into the yellow wax beans to get up to 90. That's probably all the higher we need to go this way. We just finished up picking our 90 bushels of green beans. If you're wondering why I just didn't make it 100, it's because I didn't think I'd have 100. But lo and behold, we probably left at least 5 more, maybe even 10 out in the field. So we probably could have done 100. And I could have adjusted it at the food bank, but it's easier just to go with what the invoice says. And I told her 90, she made it out for 90, so that's what we're going with. We're gonna get them stacked on the pallet, go and hook this bean picker, pull these beans back home, and I'll get them loaded in the box truck. And after lunch, we're heading to the food bank, and I'm gonna take you along for the ride. Oh, I just remembered, I forgot to mention how fast we filled the bushels on that last round. I actually got my stopwatch out and started it, and it took us about 8 minutes to make a round and fill 24 bushels. So 3 bushels a minute. All right, I just finished my lunch and I'm getting ready to load up these 3 skids into that box truck so I can haul them up to the Mid-Ohio Food Bank in Lima, not the Midwest Food Bank. I think that's what I called it earlier. If you're wondering what I had for lunch, I actually had pierogies that my wife picked up from Costco last week and some homemade soup. She's a excellent soup chef. I had zuppa to go with my pierogies. It's like a kale, potato, and sausage soup. It's really good. All right, I'm gonna get these thrown in the truck and make our way to Lima, and hopefully when I get there, I can find someone to talk on camera to explain what is going to happen with these 90 bushels of green beans and all the other produce that gets dropped off at the food bank. All right, got our 3 skids in the box truck. If you're wondering how much 90 bushels weighs, 25 pounds per bushel. That's 2,250 pounds of green beans going to the Mid-Ohio Food Bank here in Ohio. I've had several people comment, actually numerous people comment in the past when I've had to throw out produce or leave produce in the field unharvested because we had too much or maybe it went bad. And they always ask me, why don't you take it to the local food bank? It's not as easy as just loading up a truck and taking it and dropping it off at a food bank. You have to get a dock time approved, or you have to get a purchase order approved through the state director. So I either have to text her, call her, or email her, let her know what I got, and then she checks around to all the regional food banks within, like an hour's drive of me, because it wouldn't make sense for me to drive to like Cincinnati or Cleveland, because those are 2.5, 3 hours away. So she'll check Dayton, Springfield, Columbus, and Lima. And a lot of times they're full, because there's numerous other farmers in the same predicament as me that would like to offload some produce that was unsold or unharvested at these food banks. So often the food banks are full, and that can't be done. But she did find one that had room for my 90 bushels of green beans. So she gets a purchase order from the supervisor there at that food bank that I'm taking these to, gets approval, and then she emails me the purchase order and the invoice that I will be taking with me to drop off to him. And then in a few weeks or a month, I'll get paid for dropping off these green beans. So that brings up another point. It's not just a donation. I'm sure there's some places out there where you could donate, like our daily bread. We have a local one here in town where I could drop off small amounts of something, but it's just almost not worth my time and hassle to do that. If I'm going to drive somewhere and drop something off, I want it to be a lot, and I'd like to get reimbursed for at least a little bit of what it's worth. So on these bushels of beans, my full retail price is $75 a bushel. The going wholesale rate, like if I was to purchase them from another big grower and resell them, ranges usually between $18 and $40, with that 20-something, 25 to 30 being pretty normal, pretty typical. I have seen them as high as 40, and I've seen them as low as 15, 16, 17, but that was a couple years ago. I'm gonna get $11 for these today. So that will cover all of my labor and fuel and equipment cost and other inputs like seed and fertilizers and chemicals and things like that. So I'm not really making money. I'm just getting my expenses covered, but if I didn't have this to drop off at the food bank, I wouldn't have made this money. So in a way, it's like making a quick $1,000. But in reality, all I'm doing is covering my expenses that I already had in it that I was going to take a loss on, if that makes sense. All right, enough jibber jabber. Let's head up to the food bank in Lima, and I'll show you how this process works. All right, I made it here to the food bank. If you have a semi or a dock height truck, you got to go around back and unload the docks. But my truck is not quite high enough for that. So in the past, they usually just unload me right here. They'll bring a forklift out here and offload me right here on this asphalt and roll it inside the doors there. Waiting on someone to bring a forklift out. Here's a little look at some of the items they receive a day, it looks like. Bunch of watermelons. Some sweet corn, some spaghetti squash. Wow, that looks pretty nice. And these are bell peppers. My goodness. Some more sweet corn. So not really too much in here right now. I'm sure their coolers are full. Two skids down, one to go. This looks kind of interesting, like a food bank food truck. All right, I'm here with Jason, the public relations manager here at the West Ohio Food Bank. And I was just talking with him briefly about all the produce that comes in here. What happens to it? Where does it go? I've always wondered that myself over the last 10 years that I've been bringing produce here to all these different food banks. So if you could just try to elaborate on that a little bit.
Sure, you know, we exist. Organizations like us, organizations like Feeding America, other nonprofits around the country. Unfortunately, we have to exist because we do live in the most prosperous and richest country in the world, but we still have a bit of an issue when it comes to hunger and making sure everybody has something good to eat. So this is a prime example right here. You see all of this fresh produce. Well, sometimes just folks, whether it be purchasers, stores, consumers, just don't have the room for it or have enough of what they have. So the leftovers, so they don't go to waste, come to places like us so we can give to those who aren't as fortunate as, you know, maybe you or me are, to be able to walk to the store and go get fresh vegetables, fresh produce, corn, watermelon, what have you. And that way we incorporate this not only to our pantries and agencies that work under us, but also at our monthly food distribution. So we can take, you know, pallets of this stuff out and give this stuff away to those in need.
Okay, so speaking of the distributions, is that a bi-monthly thing that happens?
We here at the West Ohio Food Bank cover 11 counties.
Oh, wow.
So that's 1/8 of the state of Ohio, if my math is correct. 88 counties. We cover 11 of them. And so we here at the food bank, our facility here, we do 2 major food distributions per month, and we have folks sign up for those. Normally it's anywhere between 400 and 500 families that come through each time.
Wow.
And then we do 1 major food distribution like we do here the 2 times a month, 1 in all of the 10 other surrounding counties that we serve.
Okay, so people will actually come right here to this facilities.
Yep, they'll pull up right actually where I'm standing.
Is that right?
We hand out the food. We have the huge lot behind me here. Can do about 10 to 12 rows of 10 to 12 cars each.
Okay.
Rotate them in hour by hour. and that's how we do our food distributions. Every once in a while too, we will, when we have excess stuff like this, and we know we don't have another food distribution coming up for a few weeks, we may go ahead and do what's called a pop-up. We may just let folks know a couple of hours beforehand, hey, come on by, we've got some extra produce, extra food to give away, and we'll do it first come, first serve, couple of hours, as opposed to the regular ones we do twice a month.
Okay. And then I noticed this really nice looking West Ohio Food Bank truck you got in here that's getting wrapped right now. Is that gonna, what purpose is that gonna serve for you guys?
This is one of our brand new acquisitions here. This was donated to us about a month or so ago. It's an old-fashioned food truck that folks used to use when you see food vendors and food trucks lined up giving out great food. So that was donated to us. We're going to convert it right now, being rewrapped by one of our local companies, and convert it into kind of a mobile pantry.
Okay.
So as opposed to the ones we do here, we're going to be able to put food inside there, go out and about to different communities now. They'll see that truck, they'll see our logo and say, you know what, they've probably got something going on there, let's go ahead and pull up.
That's a great idea. I really like that. How are you guys funded? Is this all a state funded thing?
We do get some money from our affiliation with the Ohio Association of Food Banks. We have a national affiliation with Feeding America that provides.
Okay.
And then, of course, we have to have a relationship with the federal government. That's where the USDA comes in.
Okay.
They give us loads. They give us grant money. Of course, grants and then donations by the fine folks in all 11 counties and all the communities within those counties that we serve. We usually have monthly or bi-monthly mailers that go out asking for donations. Anytime anybody wants to donate, whether it be a canned good, a non-perishable item, or good old-fashioned cash, we'll take it during our normal business hours.
Okay. And speaking of perishable, I've often wondered, it's got to be a fine line on knowing exactly how much to bring in. There's got to be some waste from time to time. Even on my farm, you know, I have some things that are going to be thrown out because it's too far gone, it didn't sell. You guys are probably in a similar situation at some point, I'm guessing.
And that's, you know, one of the big challenges of being a food bank is that you don't want to see anything at all go to waste.
Yeah.
The average folks know that, you know, something in your refrigerator or freezer for a bit too long, you're just going to have to discard it. That's just the way it is. We have a great facility here with not only a major cooler, we actually just added on to that cooler.
Did you?
We also have a deep freeze where it's well below zero. I don't go near that place. Obviously, it's way too cold, but that helps us to keep things a little bit longer. But yeah, as you said, every once in a while, there's stuff that just doesn't go, and we have to get rid of it.
Okay. I often get asked in the comments, why don't I just swing by here and drop off extra produce? Do you accept people bringing produce by? It probably just has to be donated. But can you do it that way, or do I need to work with the state office to get this lined up like I did today?
We have had folks that, you know, grow stuff excess in their gardens. We do on fresh stuff like that, since we have to plan a little bit ahead and we have to know how much we have already on hand, know how we're going to store it in case we can't get rid of it day one or day two, to give us a heads up on that. So if you know you have something like that, please give us a call ahead of time, maybe a day or so ahead of time, say, hey, I've got all this, will you guys take it?
Okay.
Then we'll be able to let you know. Now, what I was saying before about the canned goods, the money, stuff like that, that can be brought at any time during normal business hours.
Okay, makes sense. All right, well, I know a lot of my viewers were curious about how the food bank system worked, and I hope this kind of explains it a little bit for you. And I really appreciate you talking with me, Jason.
Thank you.
Yep. Good luck on your next distribution.
Thanks so much.
Well, I just arrived back home to the farm, and I got to say, I found that very interesting, learning a little bit more about how the food bank system works. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Do you want to see more stuff like that or not? Let me know down in the comments below. This is where we're going to wrap this one up, folks. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again real soon down on the farm.